Hey guys, Shane here from Fugatech 3D Printing. Today we're going to review Funflag PLA. Hey guys, welcome back. So today, as I said, we're looking at Funflag PLA. This is by far the cheapest PLA I have found to date. It was $7.99 a roll on Amazon for a full 1 kilogram roll. I picked up red, which is actually already gone. I started printing with it, and I have here blue. So we're going to open the blue up and take a look at it. So as you can see right here off the front, I mean, there's nothing really on this box. It's 3D printed filament. This side up, don't get it wet, and it's fragile. Those are the three key things. It just says 3D printer filament. 3D printer filament down here, again, nondescript. Right here it says it's 1.75 millimeter PLA 3D filament. Item number, there it is, blue. It's natural, 1 kilogram, print temp 200-230 Celsius, and it gives you a lot number. Down here on the barcode for Amazon, it gives you a name here. It's 2 pages 3D printer filament, which I don't know where that came from, but again, it's advertised as Funflag PLA on Amazon. We open it up, and here it is. So I really have to say this. The filament spools that use the very smooth outer spool are fantastic. They're the greatest thing out there, because when you have a printer like the FT5 and you have a filament spool from, say, Proto Paradigms spools have slots in them, I believe, and some of the other ones, and that's really annoying because when they rotate, it can get caught on bolts or whatever. So I've developed a spool holder for the FT5 to counteract that, but these are just so much better because stuff can be beside them, you have to worry about it. But anyway, let's get back to the spool. Right here is the exact same sticker that we found on the box, and it is obviously in a nice airtight bag, which is great. And let's open it up and see how it is inside. Alright, inside, whoop, there it goes. There's the desiccant pack, a little small one. Can really smell that filament. But I mean, it's got a great color blue. I mean, look at that against the black shirt here with the Voltron. Ah, you guys like that. So it's a little bit stuck together, a little pretty tightly wound, and feels good, feels nice and smooth. Again, I've already started printing with it a little bit, and the red, it's been pretty good so far, but there's not really much other information on this. So with PLA, obviously, I print with a heated bed. You've seen a video out there why I print usually just on glass, which is mainly what I do use, but lately I've been using PrintBite. I'm testing out a lot of different ones, but I'm using PrintBite right now, so we're going to test this on PrintBite. We're going to test this on some glass. It's always going to be heated. So let's do a couple prints and see how it goes. So let's see some time lapses. Hey guys, welcome back. So thanks for watching those. I don't have too many time lapses just because my GoPro is tied up a couple other projects right now. Again, I need to pick up another camera or something like that. But as you notice, we're a couple days later. Christmas is coming, so I decided to put up some lights, decorate for the channel a little bit. But enough of that, let's dive in and take a look at these prints. Okay, so first up we're gonna look at the red, and as you saw in my vlog from last week, I did a giant Charmander. So this was 500% of the original scale model. This is 3 perimeters, and the filament was printed at, for everything, the blue and the red, 220 degrees centigrade on a 60 degree bed. I printed all of these on both my FT5 and the Geeetech Persa i3, same settings on both, and everything came out great. So this was obviously printed on the FT5, and it's a great model. So there's a little bit of layer shifting that's just an issue with the printer, and I think I figured out why I'm getting that. My X motor is a little bit too warm. I think my voltage is too high, so it's giving a little bit of issue there. But other than that, this came out perfectly. I mean, I had no issues with this, the same as the Inland PLA, which you saw the Pikachu and you got to see the Squirtle. 2 colors in the Inland. Now you see this here in the Fun Flag PLA. So this came out great. Let's see what else we have. So next I did my Maker Coin, and I just pulled this right off my SD card, and you'll notice in the time lapse that this was actually hollow. I made this in Cura apparently some time ago as a PLA, and I don't know why, but I made it hollow. Maybe I'm not very good with Cura, I'll say that, even though it's pretty simple, but I just don't use it at all. Anyways, it came out a little bit stringy. We missed there's a little hole here because when it went over to make that part, to do that top layer, and it came back, it brought the filament back with it because there was no infill for the filament to adhere to. So when it came back, it brought it back with it, made a little bit of a hole there. Not a big issue. Other than that, came out great. Just need to turn temperature down. Bottom, again, I also don't use Cura because I hate their support. It's that squares and it's stupid. I just don't like it at all. But the bottom layers did come out okay. Kind of what I would figure. Most PLAs, they usually are the same way. A little bit stringy down there, but not too much. But it came out pretty well, so not too bad. So next up, I printed up this little 2020 tool holder. So you kind of just attach this with the M5 for the Forgitex, be M5 screws, and you can just put your tools in there like so. So kind of works out. It's not very big. It's pretty small. I mean, it's only not even 3 inches tall. So it's just literally just to kind of hang a couple tools there real quick. I don't know if I'll actually use it. I might, just for a little bit, but it came out well. I actually printed it this way, so holes down. That way I didn't have to worry about the bottom or anything like that, and I didn't have to worry about support material underneath these wings. So it seemed the most logical, and if I look down in there, I wouldn't be able to show you on the camera, but the layers look okay. I mean, it did the bridging as well as most PLAs do. So overall not too bad of a print. Came out nice. Okay, so last part is a piece of one of the fan shrouds. So I'm doing the testing of a bunch of the different fan setups. Most of them I use the Inland Blue PLA just because that was what was on the FT5 at the time when I started printing all of these, but I have a few in others, some in the Matter Hacker, some in Inland, and this one in the Fun Flag. And this came out not too bad. It printed flat like so. So obviously there was no support in here, so it had to bridge this, and it did sag a little bit. Probably the first layer sagged. After that it was perfect, and the top actually had bowed up a little bit, I guess from the shrinkage of the PLA, but it's still usable. I can get the 50mm blower fan to fit down in there. And again, this is all just for purely testing. I don't know if I would use this for the production part. Just because of this here, but other than that, it was not too bad. Layers all look good, nice and flat. Top layer is good, bottom layer is beautiful on glass, so this wasn't too bad. Okay, so now let's look at the blue PLA, and the first one we're going to look at here is a fail. So this model shows up on Thingiverse quite a lot on the main page, and it's like the small drawers or something like that. But again, all the links to all this stuff will be down below, so that if you want to look at any of these and print them out yourselves, you can. So I thought this would be cool to print out the case in blue and all the drawers in red, little mix match there. And this printed like this, and the very first thing we have is here. You can see the curl here. So this side totally curled up off the build plate to about here. So there's about a good 3/4 of an inch, almost an inch, that curled up. It didn't pose much of a problem because once you get in, you know, about 50 layers, you can't tell anyway. So it doesn't really matter. Not 50 layers, maybe like 20, 30 layers. You can't really tell anymore. So it's not a huge issue, and it didn't really affect the inside too terribly much. But again, it did. So again, so on the fail here, my filament guide is on the far left side on the Geeetech. So as the print goes back and forth like so, the head goes back and forth. Well, when it gets up so high, I guess the filament was just a little bit brittle and it snapped. So it snapped, and this was about 85% done, 80% done roughly. I think it still had like 3 or 4 hours left on it to print, and so it failed. But at least you can see the infill here, 20% infill I did on all the prints here, so I try to keep it the same. But yeah, so that sucked. So I did not feel like reprinting this again. I might one day, but at least you can kind of see what it was like, you know, for a fail and a big print. It did curl. Probably should have used a brim, but you know, lessons learned next time. Okay, next up are these two little buggers. So I like printing at least 1 or 2 usable item out of every spool filament I get. And I've done that probably almost all of them, maybe not, I haven't done all of them, but I try my best to do 1 usable thing, at least 1, per, you know, review, I'll call these. And so I printed out these pegboard pegboard cups, we'll call them, pencil holders, I think they actually said. So obviously, see, I had the pegboard mounted, and I'd like to print out as much as I can for that, since I have it, and I already have the pegboard is actually held up by a 3D printed part, which I could probably do another thing about that later, but that's pretty cool. So I printed these out. They came out perfectly square, no issues there at all. Printing these top pieces with support from the bottoms, you know, these knobs, was fine. It actually printed just a single line of support straight across all the way up to the top. The next one started, no big issue there at all. I have really good cooling on the Geeetech, so I'm pretty confident with starting things like almost mid-air. It bridges pretty well. I have a little bit of cleanup to do around these. There's just a little bit of oozing or the pimpling, but that was kind of to be expected for these small parts there. But I did try and test fit this one, and all the holes lined up, so once I punch this in all the way, it's probably going to be in there pretty good. It'd be a little hard to get off, but this would be a little place for me to store some stuff up on the pegboard, so these came out nice. Okay, so last thing I printed was this spool holder. So some of you may or may not have used or seen these before, but these spool holders are for small amounts of filament, mainly sample filament. This one has 4 slots here, which I thought would be really cool for the maker box. So I actually could put all 4 spools on here at once and print. The only issue is this diameter is pretty huge. So again, that's a separate issue. I'm actually thinking about doing a spool roundup, like I'm doing the fan roundup right now, for the maker box, because I print it every month, and I know a lot of people out there do. I mean, they have hundreds and hundreds of subscribers to that. So if they have a spool that, you know, could be the one spool to rule them all, maybe they'll go for it. There's a lot of adjustable ones out there, but I tried this one first. It's pretty sweet. So it just kind of screws on like so. It's a little bit tight. Do this. Bam, and there's all the pieces. So these printed out by themselves first, and they screwed together. It was a little tight at first. Again, there's a little bit of pimpling, but once I got it, ran it back and forth a few times, and it worked out great. And these arms all came out really nice. I had 1 arm lift. I actually printed 4 of them. 1 arm did lift, and I only need 3. Can use 4, but 3 is all I wanted. And actually saw in the Thingiverse that the guy that remodeled these arms for 1.75 millimeter filament modeled them a little bit too thick. So I had to use the Dremel and a file on here in order to get them to fit into the slots. But I mean, after that, I mean, it's a fully functional part. No real issues aside from, you know, getting it to fit. Gets on there nice and tight, and, you know, so it worked out really well. These arms were not printed with any brim on them. I did print a brim on the spool itself for some odd reason. I don't know why I did that, but I think it was just in there from a earlier print. But yeah, so, you know, these didn't raise up at all. Again, out of the 4, only 1, and it was one of these very, very small tabs here at the end that raised up, but not a big issue. I'm surprised how well it did. They were printed on the Geeetech, with just the glass bed at 60C, so that came out really nice. So what do I think about the Fun Flag filament? For $8, you really can't beat it. But I went back on Amazon to see if I could find the link so that I could put it down here, and guess what? They don't sell PLA on the website anymore. So that sucks, you know. I mean, at $8, I ordered this a while ago. I mean, you guys probably go back 5-6 vlogs to see when I actually got it in, but I really wish I had bought more, because for a cheap filament, for prototyping things, or especially if I'm doing all these spools, I'm gonna be printing out a ton of spools. I'm gonna trash 99% of them. I'm gonna keep probably one that I end up liking and end up using, or I'll give them away or something like that. But still, if you're gonna be printing a ton of stuff and you don't need the world's best, you don't need $40 PLA or $50 PLA, you need, you know, cheaper PLA, just so you can not worry about if it screws up, pitch it, who cares. I'm rambling on that one. So it is good for the price. You're not going to get amazing prints out of this, you know, like you would with some other filaments. If you dial it in really well, you might. I dial in most of my filaments, I think, fairly well. I get pretty damn good prints out of them. But like my G-Tech has a little bit of the Z-banding here, very small amount. You can hear my finger going across each of the ribs a little bit. But I think it is great filament. If you have some, congratulations. If you don't, I'm sorry, you can't get this. They might start selling it again on Amazon. If they do, pick it up. It's a steal. It is well worth the money. It's not Hatchbox and it's not Inland, but it is doggone close to it. So if you can, pick some up. So that's it for this review, guys. Thanks for watching. And I want to say I've gotten a lot of great feedback from doing these reviews of filament, even though I'm not doing any of the chemical testing. I'm just doing prints of random objects to see how well they print. And I dial them in as best I can. And I, you know, everyone that picks up any type of filament, make sure that you do calibrate accordingly to each filament. Each one prints differently. I have some PLAs that print as low as 190. I have some filaments on PLA that print as high as 230. So you do have to find the sweet spot for all of those, and I might do a video kind of separate on calibrating for these different types of filaments, but that's a different story. Again, but I've gotten great feedback on do these. I plan on continuing them, and if you want to see anything else, please let me know. I try to include whatever I can in these videos. So if you liked the video, give it a thumbs up. If you didn't, hit the dislike button and tell me why you didn't like it. You can subscribe down below, and you can hit the little bell icon and get an email anytime I upload a video. You can help me out via Patreon and donate me $1 or more. I greatly appreciate what you send my way. And to all you already Patreons, I thank you for your support and your help. You're helping me out a lot, give me a lot more encouragement. Everyone that I get helps me want to do more and more on the channel, so I appreciate that. I have affiliate links down below for Amazon and Maker's Geek. If you would like to do some of your holiday shopping down there, you can. Just grab that link and start shopping away. And as always, guys, happy printing.